Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel Dykhuis. I am a labor and delivery nurse who has had the past 2 weeks off, about to go back to work. And this is my April review. So today is Mother's Day and it's the end of Nurses Week, end of tulip time, end of my almost 2 weeks off of work that I had because I was in Mexico and then I had tulip time. So yeah, it feels like spring is coming. It's still only like 50 degrees here in Holland, Michigan, but whatever, it's sunny. So we'll take the win. My April reads, I read 16 books, which was 6,200 pages. And that's like pages, but if all of them were pages and not audiobooks. My average rating was 4.38 stars, which means it was a pretty good month. And I, like, gun to my head, could not have told you what I read in April. So it felt like a very long month. It already feels very long ago. So here we go. The first book I listened to was Becoming the Pastor's Wife by Beth Allison Barr. She also wrote The Making of Biblical Womanhood, which is an amazing nonfiction book. And that is about how the Bible has been like mistranslated or misrepresented women in the past, and kind of like how it really should be translated, what women's place is in the Bible. So like highly recommend that book. This is about the role of the pastor's wife in evangelicalism and how women are pastors' wives, but they're really like, there's all these like silent duties that they're expected to do, and which is incredibly hard if you are a more modern woman who has a career and you don't think that you are a package deal with your husband getting hired into this role. So this book was not as applicable to my life, and so it didn't have near as much of an effect, but it was well written, was good. I gave this one a 4-star. This is my most unhinged book of the month, and that is Sky Daddy by Kate Folk, I believe. So buckle up for this one. Our main character just really wants to marry a plane. And by marry a plane, she means die a fiery death inside a plane crash. She is sexually attracted to planes and wants to marry one. So she's a weirdo, but this is a well-written book about a really strange person. And so I gave it 3.75. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to people, but if you are looking for a really weird book, here it is, man. It's not super long, which is why I kind of powered through it, and it is well written. It's a roller coaster of a time. So there you go, Sky Daddy. I am like ride or die for Adrienne Young. So if you haven't read it yet, The Unmaking of June Farrow is by Adrienne Young. Also Fallen and Namesake. Fable and Namesake. So Fallen City I knew nothing about and knew I was going to read it, so I already had purchased it. This is a beautiful book. Like, absolutely beautiful. It took me a while to get to it because I had absolutely no idea what it was about. So very like Roman-esque vibes. We come upon the city after a coup has happened. So one of the girls is like a governor, like a senator, but she has like a forbidden love with somebody who is in the army who took over the Senate. And it kind of like reaches like the climax at the end, and then it's done. So I think this is a first of 3. This was good. A little bit slow to get into. I mean, you're like very intrigued, but it takes a while to get answers. So, but a short read. So I liked this one. I gave this 4.5 stars. Then I read probably my favorite book of the month, Lady Tremaine. I was excited about this. It's gotten a lot of hype. This is my book of the month for March. So I read it like the following month, which is pretty fast for me. But this is my favorite genre, a fairy tale retelling. So Cinderella is not my favorite fairy tale just because it's relatively boring. I did like the Cinderella remake that gave her a little bit of a fleshed out story. But Lady Tremaine is interesting for sure. So we follow Lady Tremaine, who is the evil stepmother, and it's from her perspective. And this girl is just trying to keep like food on the table, these mouths fed, and honestly, Cinderella is an annoying little bitch in this book. But still, like, other people have said, like, oh, she's still the evil character, but, like, is she? I don't know. I loved this. It was perfection for me. Women empowerment, women don't need husbands. Love it. 5 stars. It was so good. I love, love, love a fairy tale retelling. Here's one everyone's going to want to read. 1929 by Andrew Ross Sorkin. So this was part of the Sharon Says So book club that I am part of, which is why I read it. I'm not normally somebody who likes the economy. 1929 is interesting to me because of, you know, the stock market crash and the Great Depression, but it's also very depressing. So this is historical that's told like a story. So it was readable. Even though it like looks super dense, the chapters don't actually take that long to read. But I kind of treated it more like a school assignment and just read it like a few chapters at a time. I have yet to read the author meetup, so get some more insight on that, to watch that. But yeah, I read this. I did. I gave it 4 stars because yeah, it was good. It was well written. It kept me as interested as I could be in the economy. Okay? And kind of a wild time. So you've probably heard of Cash. This is the first in the Lucky Ranch series. I think it's going to be 4 books, but maybe more because I think it's like brothers. And I could not really tell you what happened in this book besides romance. It's blending with Done and Dusted. I know that I had an okay time with it, but nothing really memorable stands out. Like literally, I don't know that I remember. I actually think, I don't know, this and then like the first of the like Reckless or whatever series I read recently. And so they're all blurring together. It's like cowboy brothers that are never going to fall in love, but they fall in love. And one of them has a kid out of wedlock. And it feels very formulaic. So I gave that one 4 stars. It was an okay time. A month later, I literally have no idea what's going on. But I will probably read the next one. So that's good. Most anticipated of the month was Rites of the Starling. This is the second of this trilogy, I believe. And what are we calling it? I don't know what we're calling this. So the first is Shield of Sparrows. That was one of my favorite books of last year, like top 5, I think. Amazing romantasy. So this book is like 50% continuing that storyline and like 50% a different POV that we don't really know how it ties together. We do get more history. We get a lot more answers about the island and the monsters and what is happening. So Shield of Sparrows, our main character, is like married off to a prince to fulfill this like long treaty. So I think every generation someone has to marry from an opposing kingdom, and that keeps them from going to war. And it's like very ancient magic. And so she like travels with her new husband. Things are not as they seem. Lots of secrets, lots of things. There are monsters in this realm. And things escalate from there. So that's Shield of Sparrows. Rites of the Starling continues. We get more answers. We have more questions. Very much a second book of 3. So you're left wanting more, but you still get a little bit. I gave this one 4.75. So not, I wouldn't say like perfection like Shield of Sparrows, but pretty dang close. And so pretty. Just like such a pretty book. And I did guess who the POV was, which I was pretty proud of. So that was exciting. The Hallmarked Man is another highly anticipated book. So you've probably heard me talk about this series before. This series starts with Cuckoo Calling. Our main character is Cormoran Strike. Cormoran Strike is a PI who is a retired, I think Royal Army or Navy, some branch of the military, like special forces in Britain. So we are set in Britain. This is actually written by J.K. Rowling. So we don't support her, but we support her art because I'm so sorry, but she can really write a detailed story. So Cuckoo Calling is the first. The Hallmarked Man, I believe, is this like 8th or 9th. This was a hefty, like 35-hour audiobook, and I craved it when I was not listening to it. So like, these are the books that I'm like, yes, if a book is written well, I will listen for however long. You know, like sometimes 6 hours feels like nails on a chalkboard, and it's like so long and awful. And sometimes 35 hours feels so easy. I think I listened to this over like 5 or 6 days because I was also like going to work and things. But this is another 5-star. So good. It is so detailed, but you can also just not remember everything, and they're going to tie it back together for you in the end, and it's such a good time. For one of my book clubs, we read Strangers by Belle Burden. So Belle Burden, this is a memoir of marriage, and that's literally what it says, a memoir of marriage. So in 2020, during lockdown, her husband was like, deuces, I don't want to be married anymore, and like basically ghosted their family in such a strange way. So this is her like writing her experience, trying to figure out, like, she thought she was in a loving marriage, and like her whole life just became a lie, and it was very interesting. So Strangers, I gave it 4 stars. I just can't relate to it as much because I am a single woman, and she also lives quite the lifestyle, but it was very well told. It was good. Strangers. There's also quite a bit to talk about for book club. The Bewitching is a Silvia Moreno Garcia book. So she wrote Mexican Gothic, and I love that, and I've kind of been trying to chase that high ever since, and I haven't found it. So I don't know at what point I give up on her. I do love like a creepy book though. It just, for some reason, this one just doesn't hit, and I don't know the secret sauce that makes some hit and some not, right? So like Wayward, The Unmaking of June Farrow, Something About Things Forgotten. I love a speculative fiction book. I love like Vampires of El Norte and The Hacienda, and this just didn't hit. I guessed who the witch was, and it just wasn't that creepy to me. So we have, I think, 3 points of view. So long time ago, 90s, and then like current day, and we're trying to piece, no. Long time ago, like 50s and 90s. So we're trying to like piece these stories together. There are bewitchings, a few generations. So it was fine. It was fine. I gave it a 3. So yeah, not going to recommend it, but it's there if you want it. If you like witches a lot. And like kind of dark academia a little bit. I just don't know why it didn't hit. This is a book I've been trying to read for months and months and months. A nice little new dystopia on the scene. Dystopian. I was told that this is going to be like Star Wars-esque in the like volumes as they come out. So this would be like episode 4. And then episode 1 also came out. So Conform is the first of a trilogy, and then Beneath is the first of a trilogy. I will continue reading this. It is intriguing. It just didn't hit as hard as I thought. Like, I feel like this was a little overhyped in the book community. So our main character's role in society is that she is like reviewing paintings and artwork, and then if it says there's like an AI program that's telling her like yes or no to like delete these things. And so she just has to hit a button. So it's like weird because the system could just be doing this. It's like a weird compliance thing. I don't know. So we haven't unpacked that yet, but she is paired with a match. So it's like a little Handmaid's Tale. And like, we don't really know what's all happening yet. Like this honestly didn't cover that much ground. So she is paired to mate with someone and she's pretty excited about it because that gets you like out of, like basically they're living like in a basement world. It's very interesting. So she gets to go up to the sky and like interact with people, but she's also like a second-class citizen. So and that's because she has heterochromosomia, and that's what it is, where you have like one green eye and one blue eye. So like mismatching eyes. And that was enough to get her like doxxed because her genes aren't perfect. Gross. So yeah, we're unpacking that. There's a little bit of a love triangle. We don't know people's motivations. We don't know what's going on. There's like rebellion. So of course she's going to get involved in this rebellion, but also like, are there some people in the elites that are like just, they're more like just complicit because they have to be, like who believes what? It was interesting. I will be reading more. I gave that one, what did I give that one? 4 stars. So yeah, I really thought it was going to be like a hands down 5 because I love a little dystopia. I love like the like weird breeding trope, but I think just because we didn't like get there, like we haven't gone very far in the story. My next listen was Emma M. Lyon Volume 2. If you haven't heard of these, this is a girl in like 1800s who her husband or her uncle, cousin, whatever, like stole her inheritance. And so now she's trying to like set up her life. They're in debt and she is very precocious. So I think there are 7 volumes currently. I think she's still writing. It is very engaging, very fun. The banter is fun. She's going to get into all sorts of shenanigans. This is like a 3-hour audiobook. So low commitment with a good turnout. So I gave that one 4 stars. I have been looking forward to reading Unclobber for a while. This is by Colby Martin. He is a pastor who did the work of going through the clobber verses. There are 5 verses in the Bible that are used to clobber homosexuals with. And so those are all the times that homosexuality is mentioned in the Bible. Most of them mistranslated or misinterpreted, and all of them. And depending on your belief system, I guess. So Colby goes through and tells like the story of him doing this wrestling as a pastor and deciding that he is LGBTQ plus, LGBTQIA plus, affirming. And so not only does he like not believe that just being homosexual is sinning, but he's actually affirming. And then in other chapters, he goes through and like debunks the translations in the Bible of these verses. This was very well written, very accessibly written, and super interesting. And honestly, it's great to like have the actual like breakdown, because this is more of like what I believe, but then to have the like actual scriptural breakdown and be like, okay, this aligns more with my values and more of my understanding of Jesus and God. And so to hear that is just really nice. Like we don't have to be mean assholes to gay people. I love it. I love it. So I did give this one 5 stars. Very, very well written nonfiction. I think everyone should read this. All right. These last few books felt like a fever dream. I was like getting ready for Mexico and Tulip Time, and I like was in a weird reading slump, but I actually wasn't. I don't know. I have had a hard time sitting down reading a physical book. So, anywho, I have a physical copy. My Favorite Bad Decision. This is just like a smutty book that I was recommended by Beach Reads and Bubbly. And it did live up to the hype. I really liked this one. I gave this one 5 stars. It just like hit right. It was enough sexy, spicy, adventurous. So our main characters knew each other from like when she was 17 and he was in like college. And they are hiking. What are they hiking? Oh my gosh. Kilimanjaro together. So kind of a weird setup, but they end up hiking Kilimanjaro together, and obviously you like bond a lot over that. She has hated him for like her whole life for breaking her sister's heart, because that's who he was dating when they knew each other. And he's like been obsessed with her for a long time. So sexy time happens, and then we're back in the real world trying to figure that out, and it was just a good time. The banter was good, the experience was good. I liked it a lot. And I will probably be reading more books. I think the next one is like her stepbrother. So it's like a kind of a spin-off. So not their exact story, but in the world. Jamie has been wanting me to read this book since last year when she read it. So this is on her list of fiction for me. And then I also heard the Popcast people also recommended this and greenlit this. And then they talked about it again on Shelf Respect, which is their other podcast. So with 3 ringing endorsements for this, I needed to read it. So this is by Annie Hartnett. Our main character is PJ Halliday. He won the lottery a few years ago, and he's been living off that. Lots of sad things in his past, interesting people in his current. He ends up after a ridiculous murder-suicide, being responsible for 2 children. They go on a road trip together. It is a wild time. There is a cat with a perspective. It is both ridiculous, entertaining. Sorry, not both. It is ridiculous, entertaining, and heartfelt. Yeah, it talks a lot about like family trauma, drama, being a parent, what being a parent means, how you show up for kids. Yeah, it was a good time. I gave it 5 stars. So not my normal genre, just a fiction book, but every once in a while you get a good one. I started What My Bones Know by Stephanie Fu one morning, and I ended up almost listening to the entire thing in one day. Part of that was because I was doing some like gardening and like prepping raised garden beds, but the other was that it was super interesting. So Stephanie Fu has complex PTSD from her abusive parents. And so the book like is talking about her childhood trauma and figuring that out, all of her years of therapy, and then she gets into therapy with this really good therapist who she ends up like recording her sessions, and some of those are included in the audiobook, and it is fascinating. So yeah, it was great. It was a really great nonfiction, 5 stars. I read it so fast. And it was like 16 hours or something absolutely ridiculous. And I listened to it all. And that is it for April. So those are my 16 books. Pretty high ratings. Yeah, so most anticipated was Rights of the Starling. Favorite was Lady Tremaine. What did I say? What did I say for most disappointing? It was probably The Bewitching? Yeah, probably The Bewitching was my worst book. Sky Daddy was the weirdest. So weird. Yeah, so that is March. April? It was April. Ooh, going back in time. So that was April reading. We'll see how May goes. I normally this past week, like Tulip Time week, I take the whole week off and I read like a book a day, like actually. And I have so many good books to read. I'm very excited. I just was in Mexico the first half, and I'm not normally in Mexico the first half. And it was not an easy like trip to read on because we were like doing education, and honestly I was just like a little bit overwhelmed with between the like emotional aspects, learning aspects, just heat, like so freaking hot. And then when I got home, I had like 4 days left of tulip time, and I was like dancing twice a day or once a day, and honestly trying to just recuperate and like unpack my suitcase. So we're about to get on the reading train, and we'll see how May goes. And then I'll see you in the beginning of June to talk about May.